From 1998 till today, the Institute for Sacred Architecture has existed to foster a return to the sacred, to learn from the richness of our ecclesiastical heritage, and to encourage the commissioning of new classical and Gothic churches. The journal has sought for 2.5 decades to offer educated readers, pastors, and architects historical studies, theological analysis, and serious criticisms of church architecture. What has been accomplished? In my editorial this spring, which you have a copy of in your program, I suggest 10 ways that the Catholic art and architecture has developed during this time. One sea change is that the word sacred has made a comeback. Has anybody noticed that? 25 years ago, we did not use the word sacred in relation to church architecture. So that's a positive. And I believe that if we talk about it as sacred, or a sacred place, or a house of God, that encourages us and the pastors to build more worthy, beautiful buildings, full of images and architecture. Young people under the age of 60 generally agree. Anybody under 60? Most of us agree. Yeah, right. Or 61, or whatever you are, 65, which also necessitates the extreme makeover of thousands of churches, or at least the services of a bulldozer. Among the most positive developments in sacred architecture is a general appreciation for verticality and directionality. This helps to put to bed the fan-shaped church, the low acoustically dead ceilings, and the lack of procession, which was promoted by modernism. Secondly, there's a return to sources. Pastors, lay people, and their architects are once again learning from the great richness and variety of churches built over the last 2 millennia. Thirdly, once they realized it was allowed, people have begun investing their churches with artwork that our great-grandparents would recognize. Of particular note is the use of art to tell salvation history on the walls, the side chapels, the apses, and the ceilings. We want to especially thank the artists and decorative arts companies, many who are here today, for keeping these ideals alive. Thank you, artists. So, a few thoughts for the future. In the next 25 years, the Catholic Church worldwide is estimated to grow 20 to 25%, from 1.4 billion to 1.65 billion faithful. Membership will grow by 250 million adherents. Most continents are expected to grow except for Europe. The largest growth will be in Africa and Asia, and the largest number of Catholics will continue to be in Latin America. 250 million people at 1,000 seats per building is the equivalent of 250,000 new churches and cathedrals, although that many of these people will be accommodated through additions, church halls, scheduling additional masses. All of this will take a new generation of architects and artists. And though we in this room are not the largest group of Catholics in the world today, nor the most church-going, the United States continues to be a leader in new sacred art and architecture. Just as we have received so much from our European ancestors, it is time for us to pass on the great tradition to our brethren in the rest of the world. That is why our recent issue of the journal is dedicated to the new sacred architecture of Latin America. And due to one donor's generosity, the journal will be sent to many priests, patrons, and all of the bishops of Latin America. It is my hope that this recent issue of the journal may inspire the creation of a Spanish language journal focusing on church art and architecture. You might be surprised, but I suggest calling it Arquitectura Sagrada. But at any rate, I'd love to see that happen. Alongside the development of new sacred art and architecture journals in other languages, including in Latin, we need a Latin language sacred architecture journal. Yeah, I don't know. Arquitectura Sacra. It's very similar. We need to export what we have learned to other receptive countries. For this, I propose that someone, not me, not Carolyn, and me, organize international conferences on sacred architecture for architects, pastors, and contractors from Africa, Asia, Latin America, and other growing continents. Now, for sacred architecture to be most successful, it needs its sister fine arts to be at a high level. And His Excellency talked about this. Tony Visco and I have spoken about this for years. There's a great hunger for classical art today by both artists and laity. Do you agree? But we need a rigorous academy of sacred art to train future painters, sculptors, stained glass makers, and others in the composition, technique, and theology of narrative sacred art. This could be done at a Catholic college or more likely at a standalone sacred art academy. So I hope you agree that we've seen great progress in the field of sacred art and architecture over 25 years. Now we need to share what we've learned with the next generation, with our brethren in other continents, so that they can do an even better job than we have. Thank you so much.